Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
You want to do NHL top 5, bottom 5? I'm interested to get your take if you agree. For DraftKings. Here we go. My top 5, bottom 5 teams of the National Hockey League entering the final week of the regular season. The number 1 team in the NHL. You won't believe this probably, but it's true. It's the Dallas Stars, the Rodney Dangerfields of the National Hockey League. They've won 10 of 11. Number 1 team, Dallas. Number 2, the New York Rangers. Because if you open the app and you look right now, New York's number 1. And number 1 is number 1. I just think they're a false number 1. The number 3 team in the NHL is the Carolina Hurricanes. They are DraftKings betting favorite to win the Stanley Cup. 1, Dallas. 2, the Rangers. 3, Carolina Hurricanes. 4, the Boston Bruins. Hashtag unfinished business. And the 5th best team in the NHL is the Vancouver Canucks. You're welcome, Kevin the Medium. They deserve it. They deserve it. That's the top 5. The bottom 5 are these in reverse chronological order. The 28th team is the Ottawa Senators. Who's going to be coaching them next year? That's what I'd like to know. The 29th team in the NHL is the Chicago Blackhawks, because when you have Bedard, you always have a chance. The 30th team is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Like, let's just end the season, please. They're here tonight after blowing it in Tampa on Tuesday. The second worst team is the Anaheim Ducks. Although, watch out, they might bite you. The LA Kings figured that out the other night. They're the 31st team in the NHL, and the 32nd team is the San Jose Sharks. Circling the toilet bowl. Just go down already. And I hope they win the lottery because they've done everything they can do to tank it. So that's my top 5, bottom 5 in the NHL. Read them and weep.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Live aside, you mentioned Tiger. Is he the next biggest story of many, I would think, this week?
Well, everyone's excited to see Tiger back. He's the greatest player that's ever lived, certainly in my opinion, and in most people's opinion. He was certainly the most dominant player of all time. His body's broken, unfortunately. Tiger's here. People are excited to talk about him. But in my opinion, he's not really a part of the contending conversation.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. It's a football Friday, and we are rocking and rolling into the weekend. I am having a fantastic day, and I'm very excited, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. Let's bring in the Moose. I'm still in the South Florida studio. I've changed things up a little bit. He is in Toronto. Darren, as I say, I'm in a great mood. Don't you or the viewers ruin it, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. Because, yeah, please. We got big-time things going on tonight. I'm going to watch the Toronto Raptors at the Miami Heat, which is exciting enough. I've been to Heat games before, but I'm taking the Bright Line train. I never have before. Some call it the murder train because it has a penchant for picking people off. I don't plan to be that guy, but I'm excited to go watch some NBA action tonight and just change things up, man. And you got a big night, too.
It's going to be great. Going to go to the Jays game tonight, bobblehead night, as I found out. Clark knew more about this than I did. The Jose Barrios Gold Glove bobblehead. They're playing the Rockies, opening a new series. So it should be a lot of fun tonight.
And it's Football Friday, so hey-ho, let's go. Jim Barker coming up in Hour 1. Wally Buono, Pasquale Buono in Hour 2. It's fantastic. Can you hit the Quick Six show horn, please, Director Jordan? And we'll go from there.
Bob's your uncle.
We got a heck of a lot to get to here in the warm-up because Jim Barker's coming up in the second segment. Some of this will probably be pushed to Hour 2. Darren, I don't know about you, but my big story, which we do every day, the number 1 story of our Quick Six is, for me, O.J. Simpson. I don't care about the Masters and all that. I'm sure for a lot of people it is. But when O.J. Simpson's death from prostate cancer was announced on Thursday, the University of Southern California made no acknowledgement of it. The silence is atypical for the school, but it's an obvious statement in itself about the complicated relationship with one of the most accomplished athletes in American history. That disconnect largely has been the standard for institutions in L.A. and across the USA for the past 3 decades since Simpson was charged with killing his former wife and her friend in 1994. So it's difficult to remember that until the public course of Simpson's life changed forever in his late 40s, He was widely perceived as an embodiment of the American dream. I'm still thinking about OJ, and it's been all over, man. It's been in the news. It's been in our phones, in our hands, I would say the newspapers, but nobody reads that anymore. You know what I mean. And I don't know what your take is because you were born in 87. This all went down in 94 and 95. But Serena and I sat down and watched the Netflix, no, is it on ESPN? Whatever, the documentary yesterday, June 17th, 1994, the day that it all went down. And OJ led the cops, the entire LAPD, on that wild police chase. Listen, yesterday, I don't feel like you probably or Clark knew the gravity of what went down. And we're still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about it, man. And I'm sure a lot of our audience is too, because they're in that demographic. What's the last 24 hours been like for you learning about this wild story?
Yeah, it's been all over my timelines. OJ everywhere. People are, deciphering how SportsCenter is announcing his death and what people are saying and what side you're on. And largely everybody's on the same side on this. Here's an idea. So I didn't really know much about OJ at all growing up. This wasn't on my radar when it happened. Far too young, right? And we didn't, watch TV all the time like that back then. But here's how it came on my radar. Ryan Reynolds' movie, National Lampoon's Van Wilder. When they're trying to get him back into school, there was a scene, and Cisco, who was an actor in there, says, "If the glove don't fit, you must acquit." I can hear him saying it in the movie. So it was such a big thing that it was still a pop culture reference later on. And then obviously you're like, what does that mean? And you kind of look it up and you ask and you learn about the OJ trial and all the rest. And pretty wild story.
I mean, I've enjoyed the coverage. I love the comment from Ronald Goldman. That was Nicole Simpson's boyfriend, lover, friend, as the story said. His dad is still alive. And he was asked yesterday, how do you feel about O.J. Simpson dying of cancer? The dad goes, no great loss. I'm like, oh, harsh. But yeah, and I'm thinking about the teams because we work in sports, have been in sports for so long. The Bills I went and looked at the Bills Twitter, the Pro Football Hall of Fame Twitter, and obviously USC. Nobody said anything about it. And I don't really like to waste time or energy, but I went down the rabbit holes of reading all the articles on this, and somebody wrote, OJ must be thinking, how come Tiger Woods gets forgiven by America, but I don't? Tiger didn't kill anybody, or at the very least, get charged with killing somebody. You know what I mean? And by the way, who are you to think of what OJ's thinking? So anyways, I'm ready to move on, but I would tell everybody to go back and watch that documentary, June 17th, 1994. It's really, really good because that day, the New York Rangers had their Stanley Cup parade, the one that Nick Kipiros talked about on this show. That day, the World Cup opened in Chicago. Oprah Winfrey opened it on the microphone at Soldiers Field in Chicago. Arnold Palmer played his last round at the U.S. Open, and there was Game 6, I think, of the NBA Finals, Knicks and Houston. It was an unreal day, June 17th, 1994. Now moving on, because we move fast here. Some NHL games that piqued my interest last night. Laurent Brossoit stopped 24 shots for his third shutout, and the Winnipeg Jets beat the Dallas Stars 3-0. The playoff-bound Jets won for their fifth consecutive time, prevented the Stars from clinching the Central. Now in Toronto, Jesper Bratt broke a tie with 1:14 to go, and New Jersey beat Toronto 6-5, overcoming Austin Matthews' 67th and 68th goals of the season. Wouldn't it be something if Matthews scores his 70th here in Sunrise on Tuesday night? And Sergei Bobrovsky made 25 saves to tie for the NHL lead with 6 shutouts. Sam Reinhart scored his 54th. Florida blanked Columbus 4-0. There's a lot of games last night. You and I tied. I don't know if you added it up, but you and I tied 5-5 in our breakaway bets picks last night. And I'll say this, Jets have won 5 in a row. The Panthers have turned their frowns upside down. The teams that I back are rounding into form come playoff time. That was my take from last night's games. What's yours?
Yeah, and it's good. It's good to see. I was watching the scores, as we do now, and following those games because of the breakaway bets.
Yes.
I was off to a rough start, but I really rallied late, and I think you did too. We got some good results in at the end. And, fun night in the NHL. Austin Matthews was just going about the one game at a time. Goal, goal, goal. And you knew he was going to miss a game or something was going to happen at the end. You just kind of had to have a feeling. But getting 2 last night was big. and was able to, I want to say get a cushion on it, but he gets closer to it. And now we're kind of all watching the race for 70.
Randy from Winnipeg writes that he says, go Jets, nice win. Ryan from Saratoga, New York says, NBA Finals Game 5. Ken Griffey tied Babe Ruth with his 30th home run before June 30th. All on June 17th, 1994. We're watching that documentary yesterday. I turned to Serena and I said, oh, God, was Bob Costas good. Wow. And she's like, he's the best. Old blue eyes, Bob Costas, man. Dog. Just goat. Bob Costas. Can we have another Bob? They don't make them like that anymore. Reggie in Winnipeg says, did the NFL Network even mention it yesterday? I don't think so. Jeff the Stamps fan says, Caitlyn Jenner's tweet was classic. Good riddance. I didn't see it. I don't think I follow Caitlyn Jenner on Twitter, but the connection between the Jenners and the Kardashians and OJ is wild, too. And if you don't know that, go look it up later. Wayne in BC says, I remember coming home from work, watching on TV the Bronco chase, then later watching the trial on TV as well. It did get tedious after a few months. Maybe for you, I enjoyed it all. Point 3, little golf coverage, but not a lot. Bryson DeChambeau leads at 7 under heading into day 2 of the Masters. He's ahead by 1 shot over world number 1 Scotty Scheffler. Thursday's opening round couldn't be completed because of a 2.5 weather delay. Golf update. Go, Darren. Go before we move on to football.
Max Homa climbed into that lead with Bryson. He dropped his shot on 18 yesterday, but got it back, and he's now up to -7. Got a couple back today. Tiger up and down. He's back to even on the day, +1 overall, trying to make a cut. And if Tiger makes the cut, he'll set the record for 24 consecutive cuts made at the Masters ahead of, I believe, Fred Couples on that one. And Corey Connors, best Canadian on day number 1. He was -2. He always seems to be around the mix at the Masters and this course. He played it well on day 1. Big day today coming.
Now that you live in Ontario, I apologize. I knew this and I forgot it. Corey Connors of Listowel, Ontario. Am I saying that right?
I think so.
Okay. You don't know for sure. Let's go with that. Anybody that's watching from Ontario, if I've got it, I think it's Listowel. I'm not sure. Okay. A lot of football fans have showed up here today. I was on the radio in Edmonton this morning. Sports 1440, fantastic radio station, all sports station there, and we talked Florida NHL hockey, but also CFL. And here's snatched from the headlines of 3downnation.com. NFL quarterback Nathan Rourke has expressed his displeasure with the CFL over their handling of the allegations against reigning most outstanding player Chad Kelly. In a post on Twitter, the Canadian signal caller of the New England Patriots called out the CFL and the Toronto Argonauts for the slow pace of their investigation. Quote, I'm disappointed with the lack of urgency expressed by both the CFL and Toronto Argos. This issue must be viewed with the utmost seriousness and concern for the truth. What example are we setting for boys and girls across Canada if we can't practice what we preach? Hashtag be more. Rourke's tweet came in response to a report from Sportsnet's Arash Madani, which indicated that some female staff at the league office had resigned over concerns with how Commissioner Randy Ambrosie and other senior staffs were handling the situation. Madani's post was itself a quote tweet of a report from 3Down Nation's Justin Dunk detailing new claims added to the lawsuit on Tuesday, April 2nd. I don't think in a lot of ways the CFL operates a ton differently than other leagues. And what I mean by that is I had people calling me defending Chad Kelly, and I had to dig real far the lineage as to why these guys were calling me. Because I didn't think they had anything to gain. And it was pointed out to me this morning why those guys were defending Chad Kelly. I don't know enough about this, and I'm uncomfortable really talking about it, other than to say, I mean, the CFL and the Argos, this is what I'm hearing. They don't want to lose Chad Kelly. They win with Chad Kelly. He's the league MVP. They don't want to lose Chad Kelly. That's what I was told today. On the flip side, though, those people that were calling me saying, hey, don't be too quick to tar and feather this guy and kick him out of the league, innocent until proven guilty. That's what I was told weeks ago. And then now this. And I want to be the CFL guy. Where's my football? I want to be that guy. But you know what? When they step at it, I just can't be that guy. I'm not sure they're handling it properly. I don't know. And I wonder what you think and our audience about Nathan Rourke saying that? And why do you think he would say that? Why do you think he would get involved?
Yeah, it was surprising that he tweeted it. I think it was a good tweet, and it speaks volumes when somebody of that profile, still in the Canadian Football League, still has that profile, comes out and says that, tells you where the situation is. And I hope he just saw it and felt that way and wanted to tweet it, and that he wasn't pulled one way or another or asked to do it, which I don't know that he was. Here's my thing. I think the league potentially is mishandling this because one way or another, we don't really know where they stand on this. And there hasn't been swift action. It almost feels like when you bring up the Buffalo Bills, the Hall of Fame, NFL Network, with no mention of OJ. I can imagine sitting around a room, OJ died. What should we do? I don't know. Oh, this could be tough. We could take a stance this way. We could take a stance that way. Let's just do nothing because we don't, And so the league kind of quietly, it feels like, dealing with this, not taking a stance one way or the other to just not ruffle feathers. Well, you're going to then seem indecisive. You're going to make somebody upset one way or the other, but you need a firm decision, and the league just needs to come out and say, look, we're dealing with this. Chad Kelly's not going to be suspended, but this is what's going to happen. Or you got to say, look, we're going to take action and suspend him. I think people just want to know rather than think that it's being ignored.
Yeah, there's a one sentence or a saying of when you don't know what to do nothing. But I'm not sure it's right, and I'm not sure it applies to a pro sports league. I don't know. Dawn in Ottawa says, was there a riot after the Simpson verdict, or was that the Rodney King trial? Go watch the documentary. The riot was after the Rodney King verdict when he was found guilty, which was intimated that led to OJ getting off. That's the insinuation that was made by some. And speaking of the Rodney King riot, which Darren would have no clue about because he didn't even know who O.J. Simpson is, and that's fine. I remember calling a Rough Rider game, and there was a touchdown celebration afterwards, and they did the Rodney King, reenacted that. And we were like, whoa. Yeah. I don't want to go any further other than to say what our poll question is today, and we'll finish up the rest of the topics later in hour two. Because of the Buffalo Sabres being officially eliminated this week from the playoffs, it's now 13 years if the Sabres are going to miss the playoffs. That's an NHL record. Our poll question is, which team will make the playoffs first of these four and the league's longest drought? The NFL's New York Jets, the NHL's Buffalo Sabres, MLB's LA Angels, or the NBA's Charlotte Hornets? Running away with it is the Sabres. I guess I'll go with the Sabres. I don't know enough about the Angels or the Hornets, although I'm going to an NBA game tonight. Who would you vote for, Moose?
New York Jets. Of all the teams, they're the most talented. Yeah, and they're the closest, I believe, to making the playoffs in their respective league. If Aaron Rodgers didn't go down, they would have still been Super Bowl contenders last year. Not saying they would have won it, but they would have been at least in the mix. So I think the New York Jets are the closest.
Okay. See you in hour two. Got it?
You bet.
I'll put it out now. If anybody has questions for Jim Barker, our football analyst, get him in now. And for that matter, Wally Buono, because Wally's coming up in hour two as well. 902-518-3033 on the Sober Carpenter text line. Wally Buono, the CFL's all-time winningest coach. I feel very grateful that he's blessing us with his presence today. And Jim, every Friday, of course. We'll be right back. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is, and it is a Football Friday. And hey, a lot of things going on this weekend. Have you thought about going to the movies? Before you do that, why not reward your love of movies by signing up for Landmark Extras for free today? Get more of what you love. Free movie tickets, concession items, invites to exclusive screenings, special events, and more. I'm a member. I can attest this all happens. Go to landmarkcinemas.com for details. Can we please bring in our football analyst, Jim Barker, now? We do have a lot to get to with him. There's some CFL news from the week. And I'll say this. Hey, Coach, welcome back. And for you, though, because you keep your mind on all the different leagues, what's been your focus this week in this wonderful sport of football?
It's hard to avoid this whole quarterback controversy in the NFL draft. I mean, there's as many as 6 guys who could be first-round picks. And to listen to, you know, the maneuvering amongst the tops teams as to whether they're going to take one or not take one. And again, it's just, to me, it's been fascinating. And then to read all the different reports on the number of people who say this guy's going to be a star and this guy's going to be a bust I find that stuff fascinating. And that to me was my focus this week was on those quarterbacks for the NFL draft. Because I knew you would ask me. You know what's
interesting about Yeah, well, yeah, and here's the thing. I've been following it too, but I eventually had to shut it off because it's largely speculation. And, buddy, last night I was out for supper with about 8 of my friends. This is Florida, okay? Mm-hmm. What do you think they were talking about? Biden and Trump and speculation. I'm like, oh, my God, can I turn you guys off? Because right now, with that NFL top end of the draft in the first round, it's just speculation and who might trade what. You know what I mean? It's just pure speculation, just like politics.
But the draft is speculation. All the draft is are GMs speculating on what they think's going to happen. It's all speculation, Rod. It's it's what makes the thing so imperfect. There are people who will come out of this and say, "Oh yeah, if Caleb Williams turns out to be the next Patrick Mahomes, I knew he would be," and just like they did with Ryan Leaf and Peyton Manning. You have those people who said, "Oh yeah, I knew Ryan Leaf would be bad and Peyton Manning would be great." And no, they don't. Nobody knows. Nobody knows, because like we talked about last week, so much of it is not just the player involved, but the team that takes him. What's their backing? What do they have to help that guy develop into the quarterback he needs to be to become the next great quarterback?
You know what I love about, because we're not going to know for a few years how this draft turns out, but let's just look at last year. Bryce Young to Carolina, C.J. Stroud to Houston. What if the Panthers had taken C.J. Stroud? I don't think he would have turned them around like what happened with the Texans, right? They'd have ruined him.
And we talked a little about that last week, because C.J. Stroud, I believe if Bill O'Brien was still with Houston, he wouldn't have been able to flourish the way he has. He's got a young offensive coordinator there, Bobby Slowick's son. He's got D'Amico Ryans, a young head coach. He's got some young receiver. It's just was the right place for the right guy. The Carolina Panthers are a disaster. I mean, you can say what you want about Bryce Young, but he got put into a disaster. They have a terrible owner who doesn't know what he's doing in terms of hiring and firing. And, he just, sometimes you have so much money, you can ruin a franchise. And I look at what he did with Frank Reich, who is a well-respected coach. And, okay, you make a mistake on him, that's fine. But fire him 8 games into his career there when you've just had a first-round pick that everybody has agreed on. And, you just, the ramifications of the team a guy goes to is so important. And I think if you'd have put C.J. Stroud in Carolina, I think if you'd have put Tom Brady in Carolina, it wouldn't matter. That they were going to be bad last year. And until this owner gets it figured out, they're going to be bad.
So a little before that, then 2021, we're seeing a lot of interesting. Hi, guys. You got me? Can you hear me, Jim? Because I can't. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, I got
Thanks, guys. The 2021 draft. There's some analysis out there about that now. Trevor Lawrence at number 1. You got Trey Lance in there. You got Zach Wilson. Probably have the order mixed up. Justin Fields, Mac Jones. Of the guys that made it versus the guys that didn't, are we blaming the player or are we blaming the team?
Yeah, I look at, again, take Trey Lance. There's a great example. So the San Francisco 49ers take Trey Lance, and they cut their losses before, they just owned up. We made a bad pick. And they got rid of him, sent him on to Dallas, and they moved forward with Brock Purdy. Rather than having the problem that happens in person with personnel offices and coaching, there's a natural divide that's going to happen. It deals with accountability. And so often, the personnel office will say, we didn't really coach him and put him in the right situation. And then the coaching staff will say, he's really not the right guy to do what we wanted to do. And you can't come together. So again, it's one of those things that I don't know that any of those guys have really made it. Brock Purdy has, but he wasn't even amongst that top group. Again, it was Zach Wilson, or the kid from BYU, third guy taken overall and to the Jets, and you're going to put that kid into New York and think he's going to do well when he's the starter. Again, it made no sense to me, but there's so much pressure to win now, and that's what's going to be interesting about the CFL draft this year. Is there's pressure on 3 of those teams at least to win right now. Some of the teams will have a little bit of time, but there's a couple teams that have to win right now. They can't afford to take a guy who might even be there by Labor Day. They need guys who can play right now, or they're not going to make it to Labor Day. And that's just the nature of the game, and it's hard to do drafts like that when you have to pick a guy that you think can come in and start for you right now. You don't ever want to do that and put that kind of pressure. But I think there's some teams that are in that position that if they don't win, they could be gone by Labor Day, which just makes the draft that much more interesting.
I had to think who those were. You're saying Sask, Edmonton, Ottawa. Those are the teams, right?
Well, Sask maybe not as much because Corey Mace is in his first year. Edmonton and Ottawa for sure. I mean, both of them are in. I mean, they've got to show progress. Both teams have won 4 games the last 2 years, 8 games in 2 years. They're both in the same situation. It's the 3rd year for Sean Burke. It's the 3rd year for Chris Jones. Either your program's going to work or it's not. If they get off to slow starts, whichever one it is of those two, I think they're in major trouble. So Ottawa, and Edmonton, looking at their draft, they have the first pick overall. Well, can they afford to take a really good offensive lineman they think might be there on Labor Day? No, they can't. They have to take somebody who can help them right now, because if they come out of the gate, they traded for Curly Gittens Jr., who's a great Canadian receiver, but Curly may not be ready to play until Labor Day. So do they need to take a receiver that can step right on the field and play for them? Okay, they'll talk about Gavin Cobb. That's their receiver that would be their starter. I don't believe he's the guy that they want in that starting receiving corps. So that's why all the talk about the linebacker potentially going there, I kind of think about it and think he's got so many linebackers that he's drafted the last 2 years. He loves the Apollon boys, and he's got the twins. He's got Broderick that he drafted last year. I don't see that as they took Maconzo. I don't see him taking the linebacker. I see him taking a receiver. So those are the kind of things that make the CFL draft so unique, is you have 2 things to count on. One is people are going to get fired by Labor Day if they don't win now, so they better get a starter. And 2 is, how long are these guys who go to an NFL camp going to be gone? Are they going to be gone for a couple weeks and just go into a camp? Or are they priority free agents? Are they low priority free agents, meaning they probably aren't going to be on a PR? Those are all the things that go into the CFL draft. And that's why I think the later rounds are going to be taken with those kind of guys, because I think there are more people going to be taking this year guys who can come in and play right now in the CFL draft. April 30th.
It used
Can't
to be
wait.
It used to be the early rounds, and now it's the later rounds. But let me ask you that for the benefit of our Sask fans, because it's our #1 region for viewership, people are asking me who they're going to take number 3 overall. I have no idea, but you've been at the Combine. You're on top of it. If you were Sask, who would you take number 3 overall?
Well, again, it depends on who's taking 1 and 2. I mean, I like Nick Martiner, the wide receiver, but for Saskatchewan, I like the defensive lineman from San Diego State, Opoko. I think he's a guy that is he's from Saskatchewan. His family moved to Calgary, and he played 4 years at San Diego State. You could see him improve every year. He's still green, but he's very athletic, and he's got great size. He reminds me a lot of Lawal Ugawak, who was related to him. The guy who was drafted by Montreal, who's now signed to the NFL. So I like Opoko for them. I know they have DeBuyer, who's an inside guy, but I think that gives them another ratio potential guy in there. So I like Opoko for them. They may go offensive linemen. They may go with somebody like Christy Nakanu, who can play. He's from Washington State. He could play anywhere. He could play left tackle, left guard, center, right guard. He's played on both sides of the line, so that means he's had. The difference is when you're on the left side of the line, you have to have your left foot back. When you're on the right side of the line, your right foot is back. And that's a big difference for a guy who does it every snap. Well, Christy Nakanu, he played both left and right sides, so it's easy for him. He's played inside, he's played center, he's played tackle. I think he's the most ready offensive lineman that will be in camp this year. mean, there's obviously some good offensive linemen. The UBC kids are both outstanding, but they're both going to be in NFL camps. And, Hergel, the kid at Boston College, one of my favorite players in this draft. But I just think he's tough enough, and he's got the chops to make it down there. They'll keep him around because he's got that mentality they look for on a practice roster. So, again, it's interesting with Saskatchewan, but I see that. I think their receiving core is in pretty good shape from a Canadian standpoint. I like Jackson Ford that they took last year. I think he's got a chance to step in and be a player at safety for them. So I think they've got some good pieces in line. Again, I like the defensive linemen for them.
We only have 2 minutes. We've covered a lot of ground here. This has been awesome. I just want your take on Sean Lemon and all of your CFL stops. Did you ever cross paths with him? I love the Lemonator. He retired this week after his third Grey Cup. What a guy.
Yeah, as soon as I heard it, I texted him, and because he's the master of staying in touch with people. If I could stay in touch with people like he does, I'd have been gone long a time ago. He does stay in touch with people. He's a great person. We picked him up from Saskatchewan. Jones got rid of him, and we picked him up in Toronto. He played great for us. He's one of those guys that you watch play on the other team and you think, wow, I don't know if I'd want him on my team. Then you have him on your team and you love him. So he said he's got some things going on with NFL teams, potentially in the front office, those types of things, scouting and things like that. So I'm looking forward to Sean he'll be successful in whatever he does. I told him, you just stay persistent the way you are. You pass rush persistently. You look for jobs persistently. There's nobody who texts more people in the world than Sean Lemon. So if he keeps that kind of thing up, he'll be just fine. And I wish him the best. He's one of the great characters in this league. And he's what makes the CFL the league you want to be a part of, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's great for sure.
And wish the best to Wally when you have wish the best to Wally when you have him on. Congratulate him. I was the idiot that thought I could replace him in Calgary. And, it was just like, your ego tells you, oh, I could do this. I can handle a guy who bought the team so his kid could play quarterback. And it wasn't going to happen. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for Wally.
Somebody had to take the job. It just happened to be you, Jim. And, of course, won a Grey Cup not that long later. All right.
One of those Jim, things I'm not real proud of. Okay. I will see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you. Jim Barker, our football analyst, 5-time Grey Cup analyst. I'll get to your comments, everybody, when we come back, plus a sports update. Indeed, Wally Buono is coming up in hour 2. It's a Football Friday. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The race for the Cantera Seeds Cup continues on Flow Hockey TV. The SJHL playoffs are on.
60 minutes and who wants it more?
Follow the race for the Cantera Seeds Cup on Flow Hockey TV.
Foreigner, live in Moose Jaw. Foreigner is back. The Farewell Canada Tour. You're as cold as ice. May 13th, the Moose Jaw Event Center. Foreigner, with special guest, Headpins, Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca and the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Going to get to some of your comments and then a sports update, and then we'll break. Not for a while, though. And then more of your comments. And I didn't get through all of the show topics, believe it or not, because our first two or three really held up a lot of the discussion, which includes the Nathan Rourke story. And I'm going to go back here, and for those that just tuned in, and if you missed it, snatched from the headlines of 3downnation.com, I cut and pasted. NFL quarterback Nathan Rourke has expressed his displeasure with the CFL over their handling of the allegations against reigning MOP, most outstanding player Chad Kelly. What more do you need to know? Rourke's tweet came in response to a report by Sportsnet's Arash Madani, which indicated that some female staff at the CFL office had resigned over concerns with how Commissioner Randy Ambrosie and other senior staff were handling the situation. So there was more at 3 Down. We're not a newspaper or a periodical, so I'm not going to get into any more of it than that. I just kind of asked Darren, why do you think Rourke would come out? Now, we're not in a time where people, I don't feel, in Rourke's position, just randomly say things. There's got to be something behind this. You know, maybe Nathan is simple as a champion of women's rights, but I'm kind of looking at it from the CFL's perspective. I'm looking at it from everybody's perspective. For instance, Laverne in Swift Current writes in and says on the Sober Carpenter text line, my gut feeling is the reason Nathan Rourke probably made his comment is that it's probably true. Come on, CFL commish, deal with it. I went back and read more of the story. It hasn't been heard in court yet. So if you're the Canadian Football League and you're not playing right now because it's April, and I think this came out in February, what are you supposed to do? Suspend the guy? You're not playing games. You're not paying him either. And I say this fully with no dog in the hunt. I don't know Chad Kelly. I don't know the female coach involved with the allegations. I don't know. But if I was the CFL, I would be sitting back going, let's wait until it's heard in court. And if there's merit to this, because Chad Kelly's lawyer says there isn't, if there is, and there's discovered to be, he does an open training camp with the Argos, which is, by the way, in less than a month, right? Or about a month? Less than a month? So I'm not defending Ambrosie, but I can see where he's coming from. Laverne in Swift goes on to say, by the way, go Swift Current Broncos. They open the series with Moose Juice tonight. Love the show. Thank you, Laverne. Are you related to Jason Kryulak, the Swift Current Broncos great? I'm guessing you are. Kirk in Toronto writes in and says, the greatest invention since sliced bread, Football Fridays on the RP show. How about that? He actually wrote, how about that?
Approved.
So to the, as promised, sports update. Edmonton Oilers superstar Connor McDavid is listed as questionable with a lower body injury ahead of tonight's game with the Arizona Coyotes. The Oilers beat Vegas 5-1 Wednesday without McDavid, who sits third in NHL scoring. Also tonight, the Flames visit the Anaheim Ducks. Bryson DeChambeau has the lead at -7, and defending champion Scotty Scheffler's one shot back as round 2 of the Masters got underway this morning at Augusta National Golf Club. Corey Connors is the top Canadian at -2. The Toronto Blue Jays open a 3-game series with the Colorado Rockies. It says Rockets on the wire service that I pay an exorbitant amount for, but I'm pretty sure it's the Colorado Rockies unless they changed their name overnight. At Rogers Center tonight, the Jays start ace Kevin Gausman against the Rockies' Ryan Feltner. Moose is going to that game. Meanwhile, here in Miami, the Toronto Raptors visit the Heat for the first of 2 season-ending games. The Raptors, who have lost 2 in a row, sit in 12th spot in the Eastern Conference with a 25-55 record. By the way, the ticket which I bought for tonight was $15 at the Casilla Center in Miami, downtown Miami. Go follow my personal Instagram at Rod Pedersen Official and our show's Instagram at The Rod Pedersen Show, and you'll see the view from my seats. And probably follow along with the story of the whole ride down there on the Bright Line train, spending late afternoon in downtown Miami, and then going to the game. Serena asked if I was going to take some of my buds from the club that I belong to, and I said, no, I think it's just going to be just me. Fact-finding. I haven't taken the train before. I'm excited about it, but if I get lost and screw it up, I just want to be on my own and not be responsible for anybody. You know? Can't wait. How about this? With 2 weeks and 15 games remaining in the regular season, the National Lacrosse League continues the march to May, with last week's full 9-game slate breaking some of the logjam for playoff qualification, but not all of it, as all 8 seeds are still undetermined. 7 contests this weekend in the National Lacrosse League will go a long way towards further separation and filling some of those slots. The first place Toronto Rock can wrap up the number 1 seed when they take on Rochester in the NLL Game of the Week on TSN. For the complete schedule, check out NLL.com. This sports update is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. And for Landmark Cinemas, in Landmark Cinemas on May 3rd, The Fall Guy, starring Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. He's a stuntman, and like everyone in the stunt community, he gets blown up, shot at, crashed, thrown through windows, and dropped from the highest of heights, all for our entertainment. And now this working-class hero has to track down a missing movie star, solve a conspiracy, and try to win back the love of his life, all while doing his day job. What could possibly go right? The Fall Guy, in theaters May 3rd, Landmark Cinemas. I may or may not go to that. I got a lineup of movies to go to, and it's at the end of it. So we got through the sports update. When we come back, all of your comments on all of the topics. And then Moose will join us to kick off hour 2. We'll go through them again and some new ones. And then Wally Buono will be with us live. We are on the Game Plus television network. Also on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE, and the streams, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult, because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
April 28th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I can't believe today was a good day.
Among the most influential rappers of all time, Ice Cube. On sale now at sasktix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. My bad. The guys could probably see if they were watching in the Millennium Falcon back there that I was just surfing Twitter. I got lost in the break. I'm not totally prepared here. Boy. Mark is in Burlington, Ontario, and he writes in, we were talking earlier about the O.J. Simpson stuff and how that verdict may or may not have been related to the Rodney King verdict. Mark says Rodney King was not guilty. The riot was because the white police officers were found not guilty. Oh, I'm aware. Sure. I probably didn't communicate properly. That's not rare. Thank you, Mark, for straightening that out. Overall, I'm just saying go watch the documentary June 17th, 1994. It is insinuated in the documentary that the Rodney King situation, okay, not the verdict, if that was the way that I said it, because he wasn't the one on trial. I get it. I was alive. I wasn't there, but I was following it. May have been related to the O.J. Simpson one. It was the documentary that insinuated it. I was just relaying it. 902-518-3033. Hey, Jen, she just showed up from the Four Seasons. Hi, Jen. She says, good morning, y'all. Happy Friday. I will say this, among a lot of things. In my Twitter surfing, I saw some businesses from Swift Current, all their people dressed up in the Swift Current Broncos jerseys because the Broncos are in round 2. And I'll tell you something, there is nothing, and I'm sorry, there's nothing that I've seen that compares to junior hockey playoffs, particularly in smaller markets. Okay, because the Blades and the Pats are bigger markets. I mean, they're not big cities, but Swift Current, Moose Jaw, people wearing their jerseys, the junior A towns, people wearing, sending off the teams, lining the streets with the buses. It's the best time of year, I swear to God. And, in the fall, everybody trounces me and says, no, this is the best. World Series, obviously, CFL, NFL playing, NHL starts, NBA starts. I get that. It's great, too. But I like this time better. Is that okay? And I'm very happy that we're in the you do you time. And I just bring that up because Jen's a big jersey-wearing fan. I don't know why it jarred in my mind that I would say that when she wrote in. Wayne in BC writes in and says, this is a great time of year. Stanley Cup playoffs about to start, and training camps for the CFL are less than a month away. It can't get much better than that. We do have plenty of time in this segment. We save Fridays in this off-season for talking football. We talk largely hockey and everything else the rest of the week. Fridays are saved for football, so if you have your questions you want to get out, fire them out now. Terry Jones, quite a guy, isn't he? For those that don't know, the Hall of Fame writer of the Edmonton Sun was the Edmonton Journal, I would assume, because he's written for 100 years in Edmonton. Now retired, Jonesy writes in and he says, I have a surefire, he didn't write here, he put it on Twitter. I have a surefire, can't-miss way for the Edmonton Elks to get back most of their season ticket holders. Promise each season ticket holder one vote on whether to change the team name back from the Elks to the Esks. I believe he has a typo in there, but I think he meant changing the name back from Elks to Eskimos. And I find it really interesting, the debate on that. I was not in favor of them changing it from the Eskimos, but it's not my team. Certainly not my race. So I wasn't offended. I don't know if they're offended. They have the right to be, I guess. But I just find it interesting now that everybody that made that decision to change the name, they're all gone. Specifically the team president, Chris Presson, who just destroyed that team, along with Brock Sunderland. But people are saying you can't change it back. Yeah, why not? Says who? I think you can do whatever you want. Are those sponsors which forced the change, are they still around? Are they still sponsoring the team, or are they gone? Wouldn't that be something? They forced the team to change its name, and then they don't sponsor the team anymore. Maybe they do. I don't know. I mean, I'm the guy that says you can't allow the sponsors to tell you how to run your business. But who the hell am I? Carlos in Indianapolis says the Elks handled the transition a lot better than the Commanders. Well, I see the Commanders are they considering changing their name too? I think I read that. So anything is up for debate, especially football related. Hour 2 coming up as the Moose rejoins a Wally Buono 2. Be right back on Game Plus and Key Radio.
At the Key Auto Group Pre-Owned Division, we're bringing back that new car feeling. No matter what, it's new to you and priced just right. No hidden fees, prices you can trust, and upfront buying experience. And it's all at keyautogroup.ca.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The race for the Cantera Seats Cup continues on Flow Hockey TV. The SJHL playoffs are on.
60 minutes and who wants it more?
Follow the race for the Cantera Seats Cup on Flow Hockey TV.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Live aside, you mentioned Tiger. Is he the next biggest story of many, I would think, this week?
Well, everyone's excited to see Tiger back. He's the greatest player that's ever lived, certainly in my opinion and in most people's opinion. He was certainly the most dominant player of all time. His body's broken, unfortunately. Tiger's here. People are excited to talk about him. But in my opinion, he's not really a part of the contending conversation.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yep, it sure is. And boy, am I ready for hour two. And then I'm ready for a very exciting weekend. Thanks to Jim Barker for joining us in hour one. And Moose did too. He's back for hour two of a Football Friday. And we ripped through a lot of great topics in hour one. I should recover those for those that might not have joined us. O.J. Simpson passing away and his legacy, if that's the right word for it. What else did I got here? NHL leftovers from last night. We talked about the Masters briefly. That's coming up again. Chad Kelly and Nathan Rourke, CFL news. Talk some NFL with Jim Barker. The poll question I'll get to in a second. And the randoms include, we talked about the Blue Jays hosting the Colorado Rockies tonight. Moose is going to that. The Raptors here in Miami tonight. I'm going to that. And I'm taking the train down there. I'm really excited. I've never taken the train before, bro. Never. Can you tell how excited I am to take the train?
You know what? I love it. When I came to visit you for our 1000th show last spring, I tried taking the Bright Line in the middle of the night. Missed the train coming from the airport with my Uber by like 2 minutes. I watched it pull away. So I never got to take it. I ended up Ubering to you. But I as you've subscribed, I follow the Florida Man on Instagram. and all I see are the bright line headlines. So stay on the train, Rod, not under the train. That's all I would say.
Funny you say that. They nickname it the murder train because, yeah, it's picking off people left and right. That won't be me, but thanks. Thanks for the warning. I'll get to the comments here in a second. I'm seeing a thing with you that you're making sandwiches. Is that a thing to watch the Masters? You had a different kind of sandwich yesterday than today on day 2?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I've never done this before. This is new. I don't know if everybody does it, but one of the things that comes out of Augusta and the Masters is it's so exclusive and hard to get to, and the menu is such a big thing that people talk about. And one thing that Augusta's done, you got to pay thousands of dollars. You got to win a lottery to get to there or pay thousands of dollars for tickets on the secondary market. Everything on the menu, the prices haven't changed. So a sandwich is still $2 or $3, you know. Everything is very cheap and affordable, and they have the famous pimento cheese sandwich. Apparently, the egg salad sandwiches are very popular. It's a very short menu. So this week, we decided we're not going out. We're not doing much. We're staying home. Let's make the sandwiches. Let's watch the Masters. Let's have some fun. Make it an event.
Okay, that's what you're doing. Well, people follow him on Twitter and Instagram, and you'll see this at Darren DuPont. You can watch the Masters with Moose. I said last hour that we save Fridays for football, and John Ohm at least partially gets it. John Ohm has written in. He says, how about those Winnipeg Jets? Best game played last night. Sorry about the hockey talk. That's fine. We're very inclusive here, so you can bring up whatever you want. Friday is a loose guideline, but John, I can tell you're a guy that's very hard to keep between the lines, and that's okay because so am I, and so is Darren. But we did cover it 1 hour ago in the NHL leftovers, and I said the Jets are rounding into form. They've won 5 in a row. The Florida Panthers have points in 4 straight. To the teams that I follow are rounding into form. So, yeah. But you're obviously busy. Didn't show up here right on time. That's fine, too. But we did cover it. Colin in Ottawa writes in, he says, the train is a way more humane way to travel. Better prices, more security, plenty of leg room, and less obnoxious passengers. Well, I guess I'm going to find out, right? I think it's a fun poll question today. This popped into my head. Let's spend more time on this than we did last hour, because, again, we ripped through everything. The poll question's a fun one. With the Buffalo Sabres being eliminated from playoff contention this week, it's the longest drought in the NHL at 13 years. The New York Jets have the longest NFL drought. The LA Angels have the longest MLB drought. And the Charlotte Hornets have the longest NBA drought. Which of those 4 teams will make the playoffs first? Of those. And Darren says it's the Jets. And that's interesting. Very interesting. Hey, we're a sports talk show, so what the hell? Let's talk sports. All of them. You seem very confident it'll be the Jets. Why?
I think, and I mentioned this last hour, I think they've got the most talent, and I think they're the team that, is the most ready to make the jump. Now, it all hinges on quarterback play. Last year, they were awful without Aaron Rodgers. If he's there, they've got weapons in the receiving core. They've got one of the league's brightest running backs, good offensive line. Their defense is ready. So I think there's a lot of areas there where they're ready to go. Buffalo's interesting to me, too, with the Sabres, because I've said for the last, 4 or 5 years, I've been really excited about this roster on paper, and then they keep disappointing me. So I'm starting to think maybe this roster isn't what I thought it was. And, I just don't have any confidence right now in Buffalo, although I like some of their young talent.
It's really interesting. Okay, this is frankly the stuff that I like to talk about more than anything. And I'll tell you why in a second, but just moseying in and out of our commenters. Monty in Saskatoon says, Rod, have a great trip to the game. Thank you, Monty. John Doe writes in and says, I took an Amtrak from San Fran to Los Angeles. I can tell you the passengers are not less annoying. I kind of questioned that when I read it, but I went along with it. Jack in Vulcan, Alberta says 2024 is going to be an exciting CFL season. Life Choice Dynamics, that's his company, getting very busy lining up events for players. Bring it on. Ryan in upstate New York says the offensive line needs to keep Aaron Rodgers upright and let him do his thing with a young supporting cast around him. If all goes right, my New York Jets make the playoffs in 2024. I'm doing this, not Ryan, but I'll do it for you, Ryan. Why I could talk about this forever is because I'll probably be dead and gone before people realize why I talk about team culture so much. And Jim Barker brought this up. I mean, it's the same with a family, with a business, with any group. If it's got a bad culture, you don't have a chance. And Jim Barker said last hour, with the Jets, he's like, what are they doing? Drafting Zach Wilson 3rd overall and then throwing him in there to start right away. And I kind of think he's right, but Bryce Young did that, or the Carolina Panthers did that with Bryce Young. The Houston Texans did that with C.J. Stroud. It's not unheard of, But then they had to bring in Aaron Rodgers, and to be honest, we'll never know whether they would have made the playoffs last year at 39 if he'd stayed healthy. You kind of get the feeling that they would, but that just seems like a Jets thing. My point is they seem doomed from the jump. And then the same family, Darren, that owns the Sabres owns the Bills. And it's like, how could they have one of the top teams in the AFC East and the NFL overall, and the Bills, and a team that can't find their ass with both hands in the NHL? They're the same family. But I talked to Matthew Barnaby about that, and he's like, Matthew Barnaby goes, the NFL owners do help each other. And if Barney says it, I believe it. Where I don't know how the NHL works, but I kind of think they're a lot more singular and as each man for themselves. Every league I've been worked in is that way. I don't see a lot of teams helping each other out in the leagues that I've worked in. But if the NFL does, that might explain why we're stronger together, right? And then with the Angels, what I've heard, they never made the playoffs with Shohei Ohtani. They've had Mike Trout there for his entire career. He'll probably never make the playoffs ever. And he clearly is okay with that because he never wants to leave. And then the Charlotte Hornets, I mean, God, don't ask me for NBA analysis. I go back to that. Rod doesn't talk about anything he doesn't know. Yeah, no, I don't. That's a criticism? You know what I mean? So, and my last thing on the Florida Panthers is this. I just got an email from them this morning. They said they're looking forward to seeing Serena and I tomorrow with the Buffalo Sabres there. We're going to be in the press box. This team, even when the Panthers, when they were going through their struggles a couple of weeks ago and they lost 9 of 11 games, I said all along they're going to be fine because the team has tremendous culture in the room, in the building, in the community. They just do. I've been saying it for 3 years since I got here. They get it. And they could go a very long way in the playoffs. They could win a Stanley Cup. Good cultures, Darren, the point, will overcome little storms and little bumps in the road. Bad cultures never will. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. And so who has that, right? And who can overcome it? And there's a reason why some franchises, never get over the hump. And sometimes it's different for every franchise. You talked about all the years, almost 30 years in the desert for the Arizona Coyotes and the Phoenix Coyotes, and just unable to find real sustained success, and really any success. And same thing, it's happened in the Jets. They've had some success with the New York Jets. Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez took them to a conference championship.
Yeah.
But that's it, in a long time. So can they get back there? They think they finally got some pieces together, and in Buffalo with the Sabres. So once you find that good culture, you got to do whatever you can to hang on to it.
Carlos in Indianapolis pointing out that it's 1:11 Eastern. I just want to throw that in there. 1:11 Eastern. Oh, visualize a positive outcome to your current quagmire. It's called manifestation.
Beautiful.
And it works. It's funny that this would come in from the Twitter account El Sasko, formerly known as Fake Gainer. Writes in from Beshard, Saskatchewan on the text line. From Stay out of my yard, Bishard, Saskatchewan. He says, solid show. Respect Moose's menu, but egg salad sandwiches are awful. Reminds me of small town funerals at the Legion. Bad vibes. Enjoy the weekend. Signed, Vintage Sasko. Well, this is what I would say, Vintage Sasko. Just worry about yourself. I, for one, happen to love egg salad sandwiches. And what I think of when it comes to egg salad sandwiches, eating them, smelling them, you name it, the media room in the Swift Current Credit Union Iplex. Johnny's Lunchbox. I don't know if they still do or not, but that media room was catered by Johnny's Lunchbox. You probably went down there and broadcast some games.
Yeah.
You know, George Bowditch was the attendant in that media room in Swift Current. Didn't kill all the brain cells. And I would eat those egg salad sandwiches like they were Tic Tacs, like it was my job. Johnny's Lunchbox. They were so good, they made me want to go to Johnny's Lunchbox after the game. Of course, it was too late by the time the game was over. But do you make your egg salad sandwiches like Johnny's Lunchbox that is just jammed with egg salad? Because you should.
Yeah. To be honest, this is the first egg salad sandwich I've made and really ate in a long time. But yeah, they were pretty thick. They were pretty good. And pretty easy to. It's easy to make. There's good stuff in it. It's healthy-ish, and you know, good way to spend an afternoon.
Okay. Back on. I hate when sports talk shows talk about food, and here's me doing it. My bad. Jeff the Stamps fan. What kind of bizarro world are we in right now? Jeff the Stamps fan writes in and says, a shout out to the Calgary Canucks opening the Alberta Junior Hockey League final tonight for the first time since Don Phelps coached the team. Like, are you all trying to drive me crazy today? I say all week, we'll save football for Friday, so let's talk football. And then they're writing in with hockey coming. Like, what the hell is wrong with you people? Literally, are you trying to put me in a bad mood? They sit and bitch and piss and moan all week that we're not talking football. Then we get to football Friday, and they write in about hockey. Are you with me, Moose? Are you with me?
I don't know if I'm there. I'm easy to take a couple of pitches and let them go on the outside of the plate, and sit in there. Whatever. Whatever. Yes.
It's like
you
being
want football,
the teacher of a kindergarten class.
I know.
Teacher of a kindergarten class.
Like your kid. I want pizza. You can have pizza Friday. I want macaroni today. I don't want pizza. You can't win, man.
No.
You can't win.
It's like COVID. Their whole lives with the kids. I just want to play in my video games in my room. You can't. Get out of your room and stop playing video. COVID happens. Go in your room and play video games for 20 hours. I don't want to. That's all you've ever wanted to do. Now I'm telling you to do it, and you don't want to do it. Children. Carlos in Indianapolis says some people just want to see a Raj rant. Well, they got it.
How about that?
Colin in Ottawa says, Dupes, my New York Jets made 2 straight AFC championship games with Rex Ryan as head coach and Mark Sanchez as quarterback. I feel like you said that, didn't you?
Great years. I said they made the AFC championship. I never said 2. I also never said 1. Those were great years. And that's when they were featured on Hard Knocks with Rex and the group. I thought that was the best season of Hard Knocks. It made me like the New York Jets. So marketing, man.
Stephen in North Dakota writes in and says, finding good culture is easy when you get good yogurt. You go to your room. You go stand in the corner. We're going to break. By the way, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are hosting a free agent camp here Sunday in Fort Lauderdale. Do you think I should go or not? What do you think? Think about it in the break.
Of course. Yeah.
The stadium is 12 miles away from where I'm sitting here right now. BW in Edmonton writes in and says, Raj Rant brought to you by Egg Salad Sandwiches. No, it's brought to you by Johnny's Lunchbox.
Hell yes.
In Swift Current. Can you please write in with some football questions? Whatever leagues make me happy. I know I got to make myself happy. I know, Jack. Thank you for the guidance, as he has written in. Wally Buono coming up. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The race for the Cantera Seed Cup continues on Flow Hockey TV. The SJHL playoffs are on.
60 minutes and who wants it more?
Follow the race for the Cantera Seeds Cup on Flow Hockey TV.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. We are so far off the road today, we couldn't find the road with a GPS. Let's please bring the Moose in, and I appreciate Michael Wynn at Ice Time Sports in Winnipeg. He's watching at his sporting goods store. He writes in, Darren, on Twitter and says, egg salad sandwiches, hashtag legendary, so good, at Rod Pedersen, hashtag Rod knows. Paul in Humboldt writes in, he says, wait, RP show fans have ADD? What? What were we saying? And the best part is John Ohm says, oh, great, now I'm craving egg salad sandwiches. But leftover pizza's going to have to do. To be honest, to me, this is what sports talk should be. Fun and all over the place. And daytime sport. I swear, this is the way I do it. All these guys that are so stuffy and boring, I watch them for the lack of anything else, but I'm like, we can have some fun for the love. Could you guys crack a smile? But they never do. I will throw this in from Ken in Pennsylvania. Thank you, Ken. He says, UFL Week 3 starts Saturday, 1 p.m. on ESPN. What is it? DC at Arlington, then Memphis at Birmingham. Sunday, ABC, Houston at Michigan, St. Louis at San Antonio. Thank you for getting us on track. And I just want to say one thing on the you do you thing. Somebody said Caitlyn Jenner had a comment about OJ yesterday. Did you see it? Because I did not. Did you see it?
No.
Okay. I don't know what it is. But just with the OJ Simpson thing, we opened the show today talking about the Bills, the USC Trojans, and the Pro Football Hall of Fame, none of them acknowledging O.J. Simpson with his death yesterday at the age of 76. And then like our fourth point was Chad Kelly of the Toronto Argonauts and how, which by the way, I don't mind because it's a football Friday. I read Nathan Rourke's tweet about how he's disappointed at the way the CFL, what did he say? The lack of, I'd have to go back and look it up, but the lack of why they haven't expedited handling the Chad Kelly situation. And I'm like, what? I don't understand really what Nathan Rourke wants. I'm completely neutral in all of this. I am Switzerland, and you are too, I think. It has not been heard in court yet. What do they want Chad, the Argos, to do? Or the CFL? Suspend him? What if he's found there's no merit to this? Am I missing something? That's honestly how I feel, and that's why people tune in. Do you feel that he should be suspended until the matter is put to bed or confirmed?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're letting the situation play out. I think the question, you know, what I think what would help and what people would like from the league is just tell us what you're doing. Like not definitively if he's playing or not, but tell us what your plan is, what the process is going to be. Expectations versus results, right? What's the expectation and can the results match them? Reality versus expectations. So set your expectations. This is going to go to court. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. The NHL and Hockey Canada and those teams around the 2018 World Junior team did that. These players out of the game. Court's going to happen here. Between them, Rick Westhead, the whole deal, London police. It's going to take months. We kind of know what the process is going to be now. We don't have any questions. We know it's going to go to the court.
Now.
And then we're going to figure it out.
Now.
Yeah.
But before that, they gave her $3.5 million to go away. And there were no charges.
But we didn't know about the whole situation at that point, right? I know.
Well, that's probably what the CFL would like to have happen too. You know, for this not to be a thing. Well, right, but it's like, where's the handbook for this? So, I mean, I love Nathan Rourke. He's a mature kid and one of the greatest stories the CFL's ever had. But where's he coming from criticizing the CFL on this? And I'm not saying he's wrong. Lori writes in, by the way, on the Sober Carpenter text line, 902-518-3033. She says, I've tuned in to listen to Wally, one of my CFL idols. Let's go, Canada. Lori from Toronto. He'll be in the next segment, just so you know, coming up in about 10 minutes' time. Lori goes on. She's in Markham, Ontario. She goes on to say, many have credited Wally for mentoring them. Who mentored Wally? Who has he always admired in CFL circles? Can we hang on to that? Mental note. Mental snapshot. I got to ask that question. I've interviewed Wally so many times, and I love him so much. I don't know what else to ask him, so thank you for that. Because I did say, what do you attribute your success to, Wally? And he always said, good players. Because he would take no credit. That's the kind of guy Wally is. And by the way, the guy finding him players in Calgary was Roy Shivers. And the guy finding him players in BC was Roy Shivers. Utah Darren writes in regarding culture and says, Frank Layden studied the LA Dodgers organization and concluded that winning culture runs throughout from front office to coaches to players. Hire the best secretary as a start. Here goes Long Guy. You see him? He wouldn't want to tell us that he's dropping by today. Long Guy. We got to go to Frank Layden to figure out how to build winning culture. Here it comes again. Long Guy is on the loose. I think we've been saying that forever. Like Jim Hopson passing away. And I'm sure him and Wally had some very interesting conversations in their times crossing paths in the league. But Jim's kind of ruined things for me because I saw how it's supposed to be done. Anything less than that drives me ever-loving bonkers. You know what I mean? Because I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it. And I often wonder how he would run the league, you know?
It's interesting. Yeah. Like, we've all thought about it. If Jim Hopson was the league commissioner and how he would handle it, you know, he would definitely handle it with grace. Not saying it's not. Like, it's nothing against anybody, but he would handle it with grace, professionalism. He would be a great voice, would have been a great voice for the league. It would be interesting, for sure, but never had that opportunity.
Well, it's just funny. People are lining up to kick CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosie. And to be honest, I don't mind saying Arash Madani is at the front of the line. I love him. I love Arash. But I have no reason to not like Randy Ambrosie. I'm just going to put it out there. I have no reason not to like him. I got plenty of reason not to like Jeffrey Orridge. I was thinking of this the other day. The very first writer ever for CFL.ca was me. You're looking at him. I was the one that went to the league, and Jamie Stein and Mark Cohan and Jamie Dykstra, and I said, you guys should have a writer for the website, and it needs to be me. They said, good idea, Rod, do it. And I started writing for them for over 10 years, but then I started criticizing Jeffrey Orridge on my own website, and that was the end of me. Oh, bye-bye, the $25 a week that I made. And the only part that bothered me was when my daughter came home from school. I think she was in grade 7 or 8, and she was like, Dad, did you get... She was 17, actually, so older than that. And she came home from school, and she's like, Dad, did you get fired from the CFL? That's what I heard at school today. I'm like, you sons of bitches. And it's not like I was the first one to ever go through anything like that. But that happened. BW in Edmonton writes in and says, here, RP, NFL Network and NFL Plus will televise and stream over 30 Arena Football League games this season, beginning April 27th, following coverage of the NFL Draft. Interestingly enough, Ryan in upstate New York writes in and says, the first game is my Albany Firebirds hosting the Orlando Predators. Ball for all. See what I mean? It doesn't have to be NFL or CFL season. Tomorrow, I think you know, because I've told you I'm going to Wellington, Florida, to watch a USA Football sanctioned flag football tournament. It's a qualifier for it's regionals for the national championships, which we expect to be in Los Angeles in June, broadcasting for a second consecutive year. Darren, Serena, and I, the voices of USA Football. People either forgot or didn't care. But we are. So I can enjoy it. Can you enjoy it? I think why does it have to be a snob thing? The interesting thing is nobody watches the American Hockey League or the ECHL. Nobody even talks about it, right? Yet there's all these alternative leagues to the National Football League that everybody does watch, I feel like, and follows.
Yeah,
big
I think
difference
it's big
between the two sports, you know?
It is. I think in hockey, I think, you see, good fan bases in each of those markets where there's ECHL teams. And you're seeing that in, the UFL too. St. Louis in the XFL days and in every spring league, St. Louis has always showed up. And I think, and I don't know if that's a statement to say the NFL messed up and we want an NFL team back in St. Louis and you shouldn't have taken the Rams, but they've showed up. And St. Louis is one of those great markets, it feels like, for the UFL right now. But that's cool. And, with so many different levels of football, it's something different for different people to enjoy, different price points. I think more is always better.
BW in Edmonton says arena football. That's where we found Ricky Ray for the Edmonton Eskimos. Yeah, I believe Rick Warman found him. Jeff the Stamps fan says, oh, arena football. Put it on my tombstone. Football's football. Even George Cortez says that. Why we got to dissect the different, I don't get it. Jeff in Yorkton writes in, he says, even running into Wally at Old Taylor Field during a game, he was polite through the crowd. No big entourage or security in hostile territory. He's an ambassador. And from what I understand, he's with us. Darren, you're going to have to come back for overtime because we haven't played breakaway bets. I apologize. Are you okay with that?
All good. You bet.
Wally Buono is in next. On the week we learned he will be added to the Calgary Stampeders Wall of Honor this July. Get your questions in now on the Sober Carpenter text line or via the streams. We'll be right back here on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
One of hip-hop's finest, Ice Cube.
You better check yourself or you wreck yourself, 'cause I'm back.
Straight into Canada tour. April 28th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I can't believe today was a good day.
Among the most influential rappers of all time, Ice Cube. On sale now at sasktix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors. There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life. Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers, Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
The RP Show continues, and as you know, when we talk hockey, we're not today on a Football Friday, but when we do, it's brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. Stop in at the Tap Room Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Speaking of Calgary, can we please bring in Wally Buono? I would go through the list of your accomplishments, Coach, but we only have 2 hours. I'll say the latest. Congratulations on going on the Wall of Honor in Calgary, Wally. Long overdue, man. What did you think when you got the news?
Well, you know what, Rob? Let me first of all say thank you for having me on your show, and then secondly, the fact that it's been long overdue, that's my fault, not the Stampeders' fault. And so I'll just tell you the quick story is I was called years ago by the club to be put on the wall. And when I was coaching with the Lions and being the GM, I just didn't feel it was the right thing to do. So I kind of told the club that I could not accept the recognition. And I just couldn't stand at midfield and look at the Stampeders and then turn and look at the BC Lions and feel good about myself. So I just said to them, you know what, at this time, it's just not the right time for me. So, that's my fault. And in fairness to the Stampeders, this is the third time, and I did accept this time.
Well, I love it. Well, that's thanks for straightening that out. But, you just made me think about something. When you said turn around, all those years, East Side, Taylor Field. And by the way, Wally, I was in that crowd for years before I was in the booth. You never turned around, not one time. You were there hundreds of times. How did you not ever turn around, not one time?
Well, part of that is you don't want to get involved with the crowd. You know that, Rod. You're not going to win, and at the end of the day, you're going to embarrass your football club. The other thing, too, is about keeping focus. You can't be on the players about keeping focus if you yourself, as a coach or as a manager, can't keep yourself focused for 60 minutes. So, it was a lot of that. Did I ever want to turn around? Sure. But at the end of the day, probably was best served that I did.
I chalk it up to superior mental strength. And I'm not just kissing your butt, man. Kudos for not doing that. So Lori writes in from Toronto. She's an Argos fan, but she said her question for you was, so many coaches have said that you mentored them. She wants to know who mentored you.
Well, you know what? I was very, very fortunate in my early years as a player to have, some of the great coaches. Marv Levy was that. He was our head coach. And, Marv was a very much kind of ownership kind of guy. He wanted the players to take ownership of the team. He wanted the players to hold each other accountable. He wanted the players to, understand what we were there for. And, Marv preached, we weren't there to play football. We were there to win football games. And he always felt, hey, you take care of me by winning games, and I'll take care of you by making sure you have a spot on the roster. So, Rod Russ was another great mentor. He was our defensive coordinator. Joe Galat was a mentor. So we were very fortunate in my early stages to have some really, really great coaches who really appreciated the game, but also appreciated the players and understood that you win with players.
Yeah, well, I was telling the story earlier, the time that I interviewed you at the Hotel Saskatchewan. You were so gracious to spend some time, and I said, what was the secret to your success? If you remember, you said, great players, which I'm sure you say every time that you get asked that question, right? It's you were never saying it was me. You passed along it to Shiv. And I should ask you, because I was going to ask you about you going into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, but when Shiv went in, what did you think about that?
Well, no, I mean, Roy Shivers, God bless him, when you look at wherever he's been, he's won. He was in BC in the early 80s and they won a Grey Cup. The best thing that ever happened to me was when Larry Kuharich and Joe Cap didn't want Roy in BC in 1990, and I convinced Normie Kwong to bring him in even before I was hired because of the fact that, when you looked at Roy's track record, he brought in tremendous players, and these were guys that could play football. And, Roy's philosophy and our philosophy was, hey, we're not going to deal with free agents. We're going to go out and find our own. And, Roy went out and, he was well connected at that time. And he brought in some great players. It would be amazing to find out how many players are in the Hall of Fame that Roy brought into the league.
You know what? We could find that real fast. Mark DeNoble, close friend of mine. He's not with the Hall anymore, but he would probably be able to rattle it off right like that. But, when Shiv came over to Sask, let's be honest, he brought Hank, he brought Eddie, he brought Alondra Johnson eventually. He brought a lot of guys, and you guys still ended up winning the Grey Cup in 01. Like, of all your Grey Cups, that must have felt good to survive that. Shiv did raid the Stamps, let's be honest, when he came over, right? How did you feel about that?
Well, no, I'm fine with all that. At the end of the day, it's all about open competition, and you compete not only on the football field, but you also compete in free agency and coaches and staff. And, if a player or a staff member can better themselves both career-wise and financially, why would you hold a grudge? Hey, life goes on. Eventually, you go find somebody else, and sometimes what you find is better than what you have. So, it was fine. And, at the end of the day, Roy had to be comfortable with the people that he wanted, and like all of us, we want to be surrounded with people that we know and we can trust.
That's one thing of the many that I respect about you is that grudge thing. Hopefully, Hank and Shiv get over theirs. When you talk about winning as a group, they don't have coordinators in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. They do in the States, as you know, and the NFL has an award for the Coordinator of the Year. Can you imagine if they ever did in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame? I would say George Cortez would be the first ballot inductee. They might want to name the award after George. Don't you think coordinators should get in there?
Well, you know what? Let me just tell you one thing. To get into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame today is difficult. I think if you add another category, it would make it even more difficult. So, I like the process the way it is. If you're deserving, people will recognize you and people will acknowledge what you've done. So, George Cortez was a great coach, but there's a lot of great coaches and that have their name not in the CFL Hall of Fame yet, and probably never will because there are so many great candidates.
As you say, very hard to get in. We sit here with bated breath waiting this year's class, and I'm really hoping that Ray Yawk is on it because I was part of the nomination process for that. Trevor in Red Deer writes in with a loaded question, Wally, but I know you can handle it. Trevor in Red Deer wants to know. He says, I have a question for Wally. Who was the best quarterback you've coached in your career?
Well, you know what? We had a lot of great quarterbacks, and, I'll name some of them. Doug Flutie, Danny Barrett, Dave Dickinson, Jeff Garcia, Travis Lulay, Casey Printers was good for a period of time, Buck Pierce. But at the end, Henry Burroughs. But you got to look at the guy who put up amazing stats was Doug Flutie. And the thing that I've always was impressed with is no matter where Doug went, they had a great team, they had a great offense, they had a great offensive line, and he won. And that's whether it was BC, Calgary, or Toronto, and even to a certain degree, I guess, the Buffalo Bills. Doug was a tremendous, tremendous quarterback, but also a great person. Okay, I can tell you a little story. One Sunday afternoon, we're in Calgary, and I'm going to meet with John Huffnagel, and I'm driving by, and guess who's on the street playing street hockey with the kids? Doug Flutie's playing street hockey with the neighborhood kids. So that's Doug, and I think that's not only why he was such a great quarterback, but also such a good person.
Really, really, really cool guy. Well, Wally, I'll say this. It's something that you would have coached in two places, and they just worship you in Calgary. For instance, Mark Steven comes on our show in Calgary all the time when we're there. And he goes, I'll tell you something about Wally. He's got a Hall of Fame career from the Stampeders and then a Hall of Fame career from the Lions. Two separate Hall of Fame careers. And Mark, knows. That's not a lot of guys can say that, Wally. So I'll say, don't mind me. The hedge guy's going by here in Florida. I'll just say,
that's okay.
Enjoy it. I hope to be there in July when you go on the wall, because it's always fun to be there. The 98 celebration was a lot of fun. Was that just last summer? Yeah, it was. So, kudos on the latest accomplishment, Wally. And I hope things are good with you.
Oh, yeah, no, my life is good. We're in Arizona here till the middle of May. But, the recognition by the Stampeders, again, is great. But it also makes you go back and start remembering all the people, like you said, like Shiv and Sugarfoot Anderson and a whole bunch of other people that were involved. And, success is never an individual person. It's got to be a collective whole. Like your show, you might have a pretty face and you might do a good job, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of work going on that nobody ever sees that helps you to be successful. So, success has to be appreciated, but it's always a team effort too.
Of course, always giving them credit. And then someday, I'll bring you back. It feels like you might have time to tell some stories. When Shiv said we were going to go to Calgary and break Henry's neck. Remember that? You were gone. That was 05. Oh, my God. It was front page news. I can't imagine how they would deal with that in the CFL. That was a scandal back then, which really wasn't that big of a scandal. But that was Roy. Wally, thanks for this. Enjoy the time, man. I'll see you this summer.
Okay, appreciate it, Rob. Thanks again for having us on your show.
The man, the greatest of them all, Wally Buono, checking in from Arizona on the latest great accolade in his Hall of Fame career. We'll be right back with Overtime after this. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Foreigner, live in Moose Jaw. Foreigner is back. The Farewell Canada Tour. You're as cold as ice. May 13th, the Moose Jaw Event Center. Foreigner, with special guest, Headpins. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca and the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
The race for the Cantera Seat Cup continues on Flow Hockey TV. The SJHL playoffs are on.
60 minutes and who wants it more?
Follow the race for the Cantera Seats Cup on Flow Hockey TV. The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankovic. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Oh, how about that? How about that? It's my lucky day because I forgot the Moose was going to be here. Let's bring him back in. Hey, Moose. Yeah, we're going to.
You mean I could have been had my feet up already?
Yeah, you could have. Sorry about that. Sorry. Did you hear Wally Buono said I had a pretty face? I did it? Can we rewind that? You got to thank John in Edmonton. He's got the obscure breaking news. So thank you, John, for this. He goes, breaking news. The NLL's Vegas Desert Dogs announced new home at Lee's Family Forum in Henderson for the 2024-25 season. How about that? The obscure news from the National Lacrosse League, Moose. And I apologize to the plethora of those who wrote in for questions with Wally Buono during the interview, because I just saw them now. I'm pretty sure I teed up going back to hour one. Get your questions in now ahead of time for the Wally Buono interview. But Jeff, the Stamps fan, I can answer this for him because he goes, Mr. Buono, if you had it to do over again, what would you change? Any regrets? I can answer that for you. He always wanted to coach the Rough Riders. And we have it on tape. Darren, from the interview we did at the Hotel Saskatchewan that day. Just so you know, I got the answer to that one. And I'll never forget his daughter, Christy. She said to me, Rider fans, there's something with them. It's like they're brainwashed. And I said, I did the brainwashing. I know. I didn't actually do the brainwashing. It goes 100 years before me. But I certainly had a hand in mixing the Kool-Aid. I'm sorry, Darren. I'm just going through all these comments before I... Carlos, what? What?
No, it's great. It's funny. I've gotten back into watching Criminal Minds. I used to watch that show a decade ago, and I only made it a few seasons. There's like 30 seasons, but there was an episode of a cult, and it made me think of in the pandemic when you and I and all of our audience was watching Waco, a David Koresh story, and you talk about mixing the Kool-Aid. Yeah, I was just watching an episode last night.
Well, that was Jim Jones who mixed the Kool-Aid, not David Koresh, but I get it. And Marshall Applewhite was an interesting cult leader, too. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in and says, I think this is the first time we had both lawnmower guy and hedge trimmer guy. It's the same guy, bro.
I was going to say,
it's the same
the big twist in season 6. They're the same guy.
It's the same. Jeez. As I said, to me, this is what sports talk should be. fun. Not a bunch of guys and gals sitting around trying to one-up each other with how smart they are. Because we ain't smart. BW, last one from Brian, says, his name's Brian. BW from Edmonton says, Rod, where is Florida A&M from you? Henry Burris on his Instagram joined their staff. I believe Florida A&M is in Tallahassee, which is the capital of the state, and it is about 5 hours from here. You don't understand how big of a state this is, bro. If you look at the map, we drove it last year. We're at the furthest southeast end. It's way up on the panhandle. It's like at least about a 8-9 hour drive just to get out of the state. And I believe Florida A&M is in Tallahassee because I looked it up, and that's where Hank is now. Okay, we don't have time to get to a sports update, so just trust me. It's brought to you by Common Crown and Landmark Cinemas. Darren and I are going to play breakaway bets. Last night we tied 5 wins each. Tonight, Carolina Hurricanes at the St. Louis Blues. Who do you like?
I like Carolina tonight.
I haven't put any thought into this, and I should. I don't think you have either, but I will take Carolina as well. The Nashville Predators at the Chicago Blackhawks.
I'll take Nashville.
Me too. The Arizona Coyotes at the Edmonton Oilers. Connor McDavid is listed as questionable for the game.
Still got to go with Edmonton. Won't be close.
Me too. This sucks. This ain't much of a contest. No. Calgary at Anaheim tonight. Who do you like?
Give me Calgary tonight. You want to take Calgary? I'll take the Ducks.
You're going with Calgary. I can't hear you. We've lost connection.
Calgary.
Calgary. Anaheim.
Yes.
And Minnesota at Vegas. Minnesota.
Vegas.
Wild.
Vegas. No. Just rock it on mute. I think it's entertaining. I can still hear him. Anyways, you should have kept him on this. It's all good. Enjoy the Masters. Get a last plug in there, and have a great weekend, everybody. From me and Rod and our crew to you. See you Monday.
Who has more fun than us?